Susan Gardner here for Municipal World. We're at the 2019 Transforming Local Government Conference in Reno, Nevada. Joining me in our media center is Michelle Holmes from the city of Scottsdale, Arizona. So you won an award.
I did.
Yes.
Super exciting and such an honor, really.
So this is a project, City of Scottsdale, and it's a project that you led, Operation Fix It.
It is. I've been with the city. It'll be 25 years this year, which is a little crazy. And I spent most of my time in code enforcement. And during the downturn of the economy, when people were struggling, we really didn't have any resources to help people. And at that point, just to make this story a little quicker, solicitation letters were sent out to the community members just saying, hey, we need your help. People need help. And the response was outstanding, particularly from our faith-based community, from our larger corporations. They came out and said, hey, we'll lend a hand. And all we simply had to do was supply the equipment. And we had a little bit of equipment at that time from a program that we no longer ran. And so we were able to supply the equipment to these people. And they came in and contributed their sweat equity to help our neighbors. And so it was neighbors helping neighbors, just making our community beautiful again.
So what kinds of initiatives were they carrying out?
Well, at that time, when we first started the program, we had so many people that were walking away from their homes. Foreclosures were just rampant. And the only way that code enforcement could really fix those problems after going through a series of notification was this abatement process that we had. And the abatement process was pretty ugly because it didn't help the person. It actually just compounded their problems. We would get a court order in front of a judge. It would allow us onto their property. We basically took control of their property. And anything that we could clean up, we did with a contractor. And the cost of that cleanup went as a lien on their property.
Chargeback to
A
them.
chargeback, yeah. And that doesn't help people, particularly when they're down on their luck. And now, here we are 10 years later, and we've reduced our abatement process by 97%.
What?
So it's crazy. So, you think about 126 abatements that we were doing in a year, 126 people that were going through that process. And then the time that it took for the code enforcement to go and process all of that paperwork and take them out of the field to do that. And they didn't enjoy that process either. It was painful. And now we're doing less than 3 a year. And quite honestly, one of those properties that we did this past year through code enforcement wasn't even a single family residential property. So I think that's outstanding. I'm so glad that our people, our community has come together and embraced the fact that we need to help the people that are down on their luck or even aging in place. And that's really what's transformed through the program now. When it first started, we were helping people that simply needed the help. And it was all ages, ranges, situations. And now it's impacting our elderly. The majority of my clients are elderly. The majority of them are women. Our women are outliving our men. They're outliving their husbands, and they are stubborn. They want to stay in their home,
Sure.
And they don't want to go anywhere. But and a lot of the women are in their 90s, which is just outstanding to think the longevity of these ladies. And staying sustainable in their home. But landscaping is really hard. It's hard for some of us when we're in our 40s and 50s to get down on your knees and pull weeds. So to expect a senior to go and do that, it's kind of not really realistic. So now we're able to go in and give them manageable landscaping. Sometimes we tear out high water usage landscaping and put in low water usage landscaping,
Does the
succulent
city go in and
plants.
do that?
We do through just volunteerism and donations. The program is run strictly on donations. It's not a funded program. We are considered a nonprofit. We're not a 501c3, but we are a nonprofit since we're housed under the city. and everyone that comes out is volunteering. There's a small amount of the jobs that we do that are contracted labor, but those jobs are contracted out because either the job is above the skill set of a volunteer, or there could be a safety concern. And I thank God I have an excellent track record because nobody's been hurt on the job in 10 years, and we want to keep it that way. So it's incredible, and it's really changed some of the seniors' lives socially. So many of them just became very reclusive. They were ashamed about what their property looked like, and to see how it can be turned around in simply 3 hours of people's time to come out and change somebody's life long term, and not just change that home, but change the whole community. It's outstanding, and they become stewards of the community. They're out, neighbors helping neighbors. That's what we push. That's what we strive to be, and they've learned that it's so easy to do. So easy to do.
That's wonderful. So how do you, so a lot of times in volunteer organizations, you have a volunteer burnout. I mean, that's a thing, right?
You do.
So do you experience that in this program? How do you keep that program renewing itself? And
Well, I'll tell you that I have groups that come out and volunteer with me on a regular basis, but that regular basis probably would lead itself to sometimes 5 times a year, sometimes 2 times a year.
so not terribly onerous. It's not an
Exactly. We try to make it as manageable as possible because I don't want them to be burned out. I actually have a gentleman who, his name is Ron Roth. He is, it's gonna make me upset. But he's 74 years old, and he goes out almost every day.
Wow. But obviously loves it, and
He
right?
loves it. He loves it. And I'll tell you, the ladies love him. They don't want him to leave.
He's probably very popular.
He is very
That client
popular with
base,
the ladies.
yeah.
He's very popular. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sorry, I get emotional because
No.
I know the stories of our people.
Yeah.
And I know their struggles. And so people don't, I don't think they understand the whole picture.
Yeah.
And I see everything.
Yeah.
I see what they're living without. Because when I go out, it's not just about what Operation Fix It can do, but I try to get them connected with all other resources too, because so many people don't know what's available. And they struggle every day, and they really don't need to.
So,
But to go back to your question, because I don't feel like I answered it completely, but I just try to keep them rotating through. And then I also go out and I just continue to reach out to new organizations. We had new groups come out this year. This year we had 200 new people that came out. And we have another group when I get back home. We have another group of 100 that are coming out and volunteering, and they don't even live in our state. They're in there for a team building project. And I get that quite often. And now I have organizations that come in every year. They come out and they meet in Scottsdale because it's beautiful. And so they have their business meetings out there, but then they allocate one day to come out and support Operation Fix It because they've done it with us before. And they love it. They get to meet the senior. They know exactly who they're helping. They know that our clients are vetted. They know they're low income. They know they're struggling and they need help. And when they meet those people, that just really, it just resonates with them, and they know they're doing good, and so they continue to come back. It's awesome.
so how do you vet clients for the program?
So we do put them through a low income qualifying application process. So they do fill out an application. I do ask them that they submit bank statements. Some of my seniors are actually even filling tax documents out. So they have to submit proof of their income. And depending on how many people live in the home, depends on where their income will fall. But it's based on our federal guidelines. I try to make it not too cumbersome for them because sometimes it can be overwhelming. You know, they're alone often. So we want to make sure that we get them through the process, but it's not something that makes them fearful or is too overwhelming for them where they won't go through the process. But once they do go through that process and I know that they do qualify as low income, then I go out, I meet with them in person if I haven't already. I perform a site inspection of the property just to make sure that we're addressing everything that they need. Because oftentimes it's hard for people to ask for help.
Do you connect them with other services as well?
Absolutely. And that's another thing that's great too. Our housing department, they come out and they deal with all low-income families and residents as well. But their focus is the interior of the home. And so while they're making the interior of the home beautiful and far more livable than it was before, the outside gets ignored, and now they get almost the full package. So it's really a perfect opportunity for us to share clients and really give them 100%. And so that's what we do now.
That's awesome. So, so when these properties get fixed up a little bit, do you find there's like a ripple effect out into the community?
Absolutely. It's almost like that broken window effect that people talk
Yes.
about. You know, if you fix the window, you know, if you don't fix that broken window, people just show disinterest. It's like, well, why do I have to continue to maintain my property? Joe isn't down the street, right? But now it's just the opposite. People, particularly when we fix up a house that was once the worst one on the street,
Yes.
and now it's probably the better one on the street, it almost makes people feel shameful. So they go through and they really focus on what they need to do. And the people that maybe were a little lazy aren't that lazy anymore. So again, it is that positive ripple effect through our community. It's great. We're just continuing to improve property values, not just that senior, but all those other neighbors.
That's fantastic. So the team that carries this out, is it just you? I mean, the paid team that's...
It is just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just me. Don't get me wrong. I am with a really fantastic supportive team right now. They're awesome. They're in the office and they're part of our long range planning, which people think, well, why are you with them? But I actually asked to be with them because they're a wonderful group of people, and my supervisor's incredible. She is full of ideas, and so we challenge each other, and it's a really great dynamic. I appreciate them very much. I feel like they're really part of the reason why I got to be here, because we were applying for a different award with a different organization, and they're much more word savvy than I am. Their writing skills are much stronger than mine. Thank you. And so we put a document together and submitted it, and then there was word of TLG, and so I shared the information that my team had gathered with them, and we submitted the award here, and then we won, so it's pretty exciting. So they helped me with in-office things that are probably like my weaker strengths, I would say, and I'm very thankful for that. But I am out in the field quite a bit. I deliver all the tools. I have a tool lending trailer. It's a 20-foot trailer. So people are pretty surprised when they see me show up, and then maybe a week or a month later, I show up with a crew and we're out there working. I think it's a little shocking sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an amazing experience
It's great.
for those folks.
It's really great. Yeah.
So when this started, did you anticipate that it would would grow to be such a thing, that it would be embraced the way it has been by volunteers?
Not to this degree. I mean, initially the program was called Code Cares. It was to create this positive spin on code enforcement in a time where people really just hated us and we really just disliked our jobs. And to think that a new mayor came in, Mayor Jim Lane, he came in 2012. And he had heard about the program and had asked to come and meet with me. So we met, and he said, this is just unbelievable what you're doing, and we're not really using any resources. We have you, obviously, but the city's not really spending any money. He loved the fact that it was volunteer-driven. It was donation-driven. And he really got behind the program. And I feel very strongly that if Mayor Lane hadn't got behind the program at that point, I definitely wouldn't be here. I mean, he literally pulled me out of code enforcement because he said, Michelle, do you feel like you can run this full time? I said, I absolutely do, because I was literally going crazy trying to maintain the program and continue with my regular code enforcement duties. it was getting a little crazy.
So it's really completely flipped for you.
It's completely.
From
Completely. And I had so many of my coworkers then say, what are you doing? You know, you don't really get paid for this. You just need to throw it to the side and just do your code enforcement stuff. Who cares? You know, and it was like, no, we have people that need help. And so I just kept pushing through, and it was just perfect timing when he came in and our meeting, and for him to recognize and agree that we had people that needed help. And so we relaunched the program, we renamed it, relaunched it. That's how Operation Fix It came to be. And I was blessed with the opportunity to continue to do this full time. And I've been doing that since 2012. And I even think some people thought, you know, eventually this will go away. The economy is going to turn around and the program's not going to be needed anymore. But people are always aging, and that never changes. And those are the people now that we're really focused on. The only change I foresee now is we have a pretty substantial Hispanic community, and right now I feel like we're missing them because there's a language barrier.
Yeah.
And so now my focus is I'm in the process of revamping some of my material, translating everything so that we can reach out to that community, because we need to help all of our residents.
Fantastic. Well, talk about turning an approach to a problem literally on its head. That's what's happened. Oh my gosh,
it's just here we had this problem, our abatement process, and it was so heavy-handed, and just to be able to teach our community that this is what we're doing to our people because this is the only resource we have, and it's so heavy-handed, and to give them an opportunity to come out and work with us on a no fail. I mean, the properties, people would come out and say, well, Michelle, I don't know how to run a weed eater. I've never painted. It's like, just give me 2 hours of your time, and I will put you in front of property that you can't screw it up. You can't. You're only going to make it better. Seriously. And so they come out, and it's been amazing because people shock themselves with what they can do.
Confidence building,
right.
Capacity building.
Exactly. You know, people come out, and and it's great too because our youth, I take all ranges, all ages of people to come out and volunteer, which is really, I feel, beneficial because so many people that accept volunteers only accept volunteers that are usually 18 years of age or older. And I take everybody. I mean, I have 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds that come out with their families, and their families want them to come out because they want to teach their children. And if we wait too long when they're 18, it's too late.
Yes.
You know, you can't, it's hard to teach an 18-year-old how to give back to their community. And, you know, those are things that need to be ingrained in them when they're little. And that's why so many of them love that they can come out and bring them out when they're little and teach them. And it's so cute too. It's so cute to have them come out. So just neighbors now, neighbors helping neighbors, just becoming community stewards and loving it.
Do you think this program, this approach is transferable to the communities? Anybody could do this.
Anybody can do this. I think that they just need a couple of key things. You need somebody that, people joke that sometimes I am very emotional, but like I shared earlier, you learn to care for these people. And if you don't care for them, then you're not the right person to run this program. You have to have that soft side, but people have also seen me be tough with residents. We have a fair amount of collectors in our city.
Oh, that's a great term.
Collectors, they are collectors. And you have to be aware that while you may think that something that they have isn't worth anything, to them it could be their prized possession. And if you don't look at it that way and really just have concern for them and their feelings, then you can't work with these people, and they don't trust you either. And now I've built up so many friends. I have so many seniors that are my friends that call me, and sometimes they'll just say, Michelle, I haven't seen you in so long. Can you come by? You know, so it's great because, again, some of these seniors that weren't social before are social now. I just had one of my clients, she turned 94, and I went and took her a cake, and she was so excited. But you really need to just care for your people. I ask people they'll ask me if I have a social work background. And I don't, but my mother does. So I'm sure I've picked up a lot of that along the way. So I've just picked up little bits and pieces along the way, and that's just who I am, and it's working.
Well, congratulations to
Thank
you
you so
again
much.
on this well-deserved award
Thank you.
and
It's
recognition.
very humbling.
And thanks for coming in and sharing your story.
I appreciate your time and my time, and just being here with everybody. It's been really cool.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm Susan Gardner for Municipal World. We share your stories.